They are a minority, but it's a large contingency. I'd say it's like probably 10 to 15, maybe 20% of the people. That's like tens of millions of people. That's a lot of people. So yeah.
4, 3,
And anyway, what's this here? You need to get real about the reality that the government can execute you in cold blood in the streets, immediately lie about it, and the media will report it as truth. There are no laws, no rules, and this is the new reality. Act and prepare accordingly. Right. Of course.
Now you do the same for me.
Yep, there it is. What a surprise. There it is. And act, yeah, I guess you can, exactly, right, act. And act accordingly. Yeah, maybe you should listen to the law. And fuck it, embrace the Second Amendment. Yeah, guys, great idea. Also, by the way, really, really good idea to try to pull out your gun and try to fight the federal government. That's a really great idea. Totally smart, really, really effective, okay? Leftist rioters successfully chased out Minneapolis police by breaking their windows, throwing objects, and kicking their vehicles. So this is also what I think is funny, is that this is why Tim Walz is trying to talk him off a cliff. This is the real reason why, is that now these idiots, this is what's funny about it, is that these people are just going out and they're just being violent in general. Like, they're against ICE. So you have to understand there's a big distinction. Like, the state police and ICE are totally different. So ICE is like a federal fucking agency, and the state police are your neighbors. So these are your neighbors. You're attacking them and breaking their windows and destroying everything. That's it. Only deranged leftists would think that abetting crimes is what the Second Amendment is for. It's embarrassing, isn't it? The left January 6th is on January 7th. What are the odds? It is funny for me to see. Yeah. The Mandami director crying? Yeah, I did see that. I'll talk about that later, but I want to cover this and go through everything as it happens, right?
Okay, looks like they are going as the officers are leaving. So again, I believe it was a state patrol, and we did see some MPD officers leaving that scene. Hennepin County telling us that their sheriff's deputies have not been on that scene, but it looks like as officers are leaving the scene, just having some protesters or bystanders, agitators throwing some stuff.
Yeah.
We saw this exact thing earlier, and this is targeted toward ICE agents at that particular time.
The thing is, it's not even ICE in all these cases.
But now, as you mentioned, this is MPD, VCA was on scene, the Sheriff's Department as well.
It's because the state local police have orders not to confront the protesters. Yeah, because the thing is that the police are weaponized to allow these protests. This is the way it works. Is that the people that are in charge of the state allow these protesters to run wild and to create chaos. Then after the protesters are running wild and creating chaos, what happens after that is that you then use that chaos as a justification for why it's bad to bring in the federal government. So it's effectively a power play that they're having the protesters do on their behalf. Do you see kind of how this works?
All too well, Sheriff. You want to tell me what's going through your
So like they let these protesters cause the problem, and then they blame the problem on the government. Do you think they should crack down hard on the chaos? Yeah, of course.
But if we gotta be fighting this fight,
and as the street is opening up, you can see a lot of these protesters, these people in the community responding to this, and now we're having an aerial view here of what we have been seeing.
They're standing in the road.
We did see earlier, and now it's once again you can see them throwing some of those snowballs at those vehicles, some of which we can see have just drove off as well. Yeah.
Why not just educate the ICE agents to avoid problems like this? What would you educate them in? Educate them in just simply telling them not to do
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
Like, what are we talking about? There's nothing you can, like, you're not going to tell, well, what are you going to do?
Looks like the mission
What's
area
this?
is yours to capture now.
We're in a world with lots of videos, which is a good thing for getting to the truth.
It is.
Look at this live shot that we're seeing right now. We just saw some black vehicles.
This is the police. And these are your neighbors. You're attacking your own neighbors for something the federal government did. It doesn't even make any sense. The police aren't even working with the federal government anyway. It's like basically, it's like losing a video game and then you punch your dog. What the fuck does the dog have to do with it?
And there'll be more videos. We're in a world with lots of videos, which is a good thing for getting to the truth.
But let's go
People hate all police.
Live shot 17 right now. We just saw some black vehicle vans moving their way through, and now you see snowballs flying in this group of individuals that are moving. You've got law enforcement in the front of this group that look like they're
People aren't from Minnesota, that's an out-of-state license plate. That's actually, you know what? I wonder how much of this are organized agitators that are going from state to state, from place to place, and just continuing this problem.
Never miss.
Because it seems like it's actually quite a bit.
Is the way it looks, backwards by protesters who are throwing snowballs at them right now. Listening to Victor Avila. Let's stay on this live shot as we bring in Victor, retired ICE special agent, now assistant director for the Office of National Drug Control.
Same as the UK, all the same agitators.
Victor,
I don't think they're
being
flying
here.
back and forth.
Can you see what we're seeing live on screen right now? Are you able to?
Trump could use this as a pretext to get rid of these nut jobs, but guess what he's going to do? Nothing. Yeah, he's going to keep chasing around Russian submarines, right? And anyway, urges warning order to burn the Minnesota National Guard. Yeah. And let's see if I can find any more of these here. Where is it? Oh yeah, this is something else. They're threatening the United States. Okay. And chaos in Minneapolis is leftist right. Oh, here we go. It's Crash Out Central. See, what you have to do to people like this person belongs in a box. You do. You got to put this guy in a box, man. And the thing is that until you put him in a box, he's going to be out there running wild, causing problems. That's the issue.
Ain't ready for Rogue to be a widow. Not yet.
They're Crash Out Andes. They are. You can't have a civilized society with people like that. It's impossible. Like a casket? No, I mean like put him in jail. Like I don't think you should shoot the guy unless he's being violent, right? So in general, I think that the problem is that the people that do this, they get away with it. They're like, it's like a child, right? Where if you let a kid just continue getting away with bad behavior, it will continue committing bad behavior. But if you enforce discipline and you expect better behavior out of it, well, it won't do that.
Taking it off!
Yep. Spray him down.
More than half of the mission area. Keep going.
That was a little messed up there.
Yep. And you can see, by the way, they're trying to stand in the middle of the road to prevent the police from getting in, from being able to the What they need to do is they need to just bring in the National Guard or even the military and round all of these people up and arrest every single one of them for obstruction. Because I guarantee you, if you went and you built like an emergency enclosure and you put like, I don't know, 10,000 people in there from all these riots, this stuff would happen overnight. Sorry, it would go away overnight. It would instantly stop. Because all you really need to do is show that if you do this, this is what happens. A stadium? Yeah, put them all in a stadium, something like that. I don't know. Moose Alcatraz. We have alligator Alcatraz. I mean, moosins are really big. They are. They're huge. So yeah, you could just have like attack moosins. Yeah, even 1,000 would do the trick. Yeah, I thought it doesn't matter the judges who let them go. Just don't listen to the judge. Like, I mean, even military, what are they gonna do? They're gonna force their way out? What authority does a judge have? Nothing. What are they gonna do? If the judge is siding with people that are openly obstructing justice in order to do a political move, that's not a judge, that's an activist. They love to say that. Man. You want to throw the courts? Yeah, I don't really. I think that if you have a judge that's making rulings based off of politics rather than law, then yeah, absolutely you should get rid of the judge. 100% you should. We have a huge problem where we have a lot of judges that are appointed to positions that make rulings based off of political biases rather than the actual nature of the law. They make very bad faith rulings. They intentionally block things for political means. And I consider this a massive threat because in order to have a separation of powers, you have to have the respect of the power. And so whenever they don't have any respect to the power at all, then, and they're just using it and weaponizing it, are you really doing anybody any favors by listening to them? Did you notice back when the cop car was busted? Yeah. Actually, I didn't. Let me see that again. If they were Nazi, they'd literally shoot the whole crowd.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Brings back memories.
Bet you've got a vibranium fortune stockpiled in that space palace of yours, no?
From the last time you caused problems? Yeah, it's the same people from 2020. Yeah.
Wouldn't mind laying my eyes, or maybe my hands.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh. Oh. I can't wait for more Midnight Riot streams. Oh, I'm sure we're gonna get them. Especially now. Like, seeing all this stuff happen, this is a massive crash out. You don't see crash outs like this all the time, but you do right now. Notice how none of them are working? Yeah, I guess so. And, yeah, Democrats have been violent since the 60s. They've been allowed to get away with it for so long. Yeah, you have to totally shut this down. What is this here? Oh, I saw this. So, this is one of the weirdest things, is that, so there's this one Twitter account, and it's called, where is it? At least I can find it. Yeah. Polling USA. Polls, data, shitpost opinions. Right. This is your own, this is it. Email about opinions, personal account. So this is a polling account. And then they're saying that, so I said Rip Bose told her to get out of the car, she wouldn't do it. It should have been you in the car. At least nothing of value would have been lost. Well, why would it be me? I mean, honestly, it would have been a good thing if it was me. Because I would have said, oh, I'm sorry, officer. Okay, I won't do that. I'm going to get out of the car, and I'm going to follow and comply with the police like a normal person, and I'm not going to try to run anybody over. Yeah, you're right. No, it would have been a lot better if it was me. I think he brings up a good point. So yeah, here's another one here.
Watching to see authorities are responding to an ICE-involved shooting. That's how it's being described by the people in South Minneapolis right now. We now have a reporter there. Earlier today, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz posted that...
And also, I want you to keep in mind that a lot of the threats that people are making against me, and they're making these open threats against me constantly. That's the reason why more people like me don't speak out. That's the reason. It's because nobody wants to be threatened, harassed, attacked, lied about, demonized, and have all this stuff happen to them because most people can't deal with that level of stress. They can't deal with that level of harassment. I've done it for my whole life, so I'm pretty used to it. I mean, I'll be lying. I mean, yeah, sometimes it bothers me too, right? But that's just the way it is. So, yeah, then you go on the internet. Well, what I'm saying is that in order to make these people not behave that way, you have to be an equal and opposite force. Because if you don't do that, what happens is that the people that are on your side are afraid to speak, and the people that are against you speak instead. And so that's it. We've gotten to the point where you can no longer be the silent majority or they just take over. Yeah, never be the silent majority. Always be outspoken and always be aggressive to people like this because they'll aggress on you. So we can stand in front of cars now and don't stop if you open fire. I mean, I would say if you're a police officer, maybe, yeah. But if you're not, I'd avoid standing in front of the car.
Public safety team is working to get more information and urge people to remain calm. And moments ago, the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, said they are working to get ICE out of this state. A lot going on with this city. Senior correspondent Mike Tobin is on the ground for us in South Minneapolis. Mike.
And the police tape is up right now, as you can
And that's and think about it, right? That's the goal, right? Is to get ICE out of the area.
It's a simple block area behind me that is tied off. The tear gas has already been used because each time you get one of these ICE events or a Border Patrol scene, you get the protesters who descend on it. That has already happened here. The details we know thus far is that the person who was shot is a woman. We don't really know much.
Watching to see it.
Yeah, that's true. Walt mentioned war against the federal government today. It's going to get real bad tonight. Maybe, I don't know. So, unfortunately, it's not how it works now. There's always an unequal reaction. Now, when the political pendulum swings again, demands an even more unequal reaction. Well, you have to stomp the people out. You do. You stomp them out completely. And if you don't do that, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Aerial footage since protesters with the ice shooting. Oh, there's 20 more of them. Oh, boy. Oh, wow. Man. There they are. For fuck's sake. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy how these people, and I guarantee you, do you think they would be out there if she had run over and killed that ICE officer? Would they be out there? I don't think they would. I think they'd be cheering and talking about, oh, well, that's what happens when you're a fascist, and, you know, talking about how it's not that big of a deal, it's not that bad. No, they don't care about this person. They care about this person dying in service of the thing that they agree with. That's it.
Too many to fight right now.
I'm in Minnesota. Sad to see what she asked for. I let the people do their jobs now. Yeah, you can't be interfering with the police. It's insane. And yeah, what is this? You're parking in the middle of the street and block law enforcement. They have a right to detain you for an infraction. If it's done on purpose, it's a crime. It's insane that these like literal mental children have to. Oh my God. Is there even more of this? Okay. Oh, jeez. Yep.
The moon wants you born again!
See, what they need to do is like the people that are blocking the roads like this, you just need to grab them, throw them, get them under control, arrest them, and put them in jail. Until that happens, they will keep blocking the roads. Throw them in jail. Immediately? Yep. Yep. Arrest them all. Yeah, the thing is, whenever they do this preventative behavior, what happens is that people think that, okay, well, now it's kind of like trying to pull a, like, I don't know, a toy out of a dog's mouth, right? Is that if you don't do it, like, definitively, or you just, like, pull it out slowly, they will just keep holding onto it and biting down harder. And what they're doing here is they're forcing the citizens to just bite down harder and keep pushing because they're not approaching it with overwhelming force. That's the issue.
Never fall!
See? Immediately go and arrest this guy. Arrest him, put him in jail, obstruction. It's very obvious. You've got it on camera. Just go ahead and do it. This is the problem. It's that people like this feel like they're going to be able to get away with it. And there isn't a strong enough show of force against the people that do this. This is going to keep pushing farther and farther what people think they can get away with. Exactly. Yeah, if you let people get away with this, they will escalate to the next thing. And if you let them get away with that thing, they'll escalate to the thing above that. And eventually, it's going to end in violence. They do it because they can. Yep.
Shields up.
Gotta go after him. Gotta go after him. It's like raising toddlers. They think they're in Tiananmen Square. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't think they have enough manpower to do a show of force. Then they should recruit more people. We saw part of this earlier. Of course. Yep. Fuck that, just run them over. I wouldn't care if they ran them over. You shouldn't be in front of the car. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. It's great. It's insane to me that so much of the country has just totally lost its mind. It really is shocking whenever you take a step back and you think about it. It is. It's really shocking to see how much people have just totally and absolutely lost their mind. Do you think he can open a gap for a radical leftist politician to capitalize on it? I think Mamdani was kind of like that. I think he was pretty radical, right? At least compared to what we're used to. Education system caused this? No, the government did. By not punishing people for it, they just made it worse.
Better stop that vehicle!
The multiple cities with illegal populations, more than Minneapolis and Seattle. Trump sent them here because he wants the division. Okay, well, I mean, there's still got bad people here, right? I mean, my field shouldn't be here. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I've lost my mind chat to you. I think I have. It's crazy.
You get a weapon.
The freaking fascists. Fascism is whenever the laws are enforced. Yeah. It's when the laws are enforced against people that are being violent and aggressive towards federal officers. That's fascism. That's what they call it. Wow. Very base. Fascism is when I disagree with you. XQC in chat? Yeah, I know. I read his message. How you doing, man? Jesus Christ. Yep. This video is what it looks like when people are currently online, finally go outside. Maybe you're right. Jesus Christ. Well, there it is. And, yeah, allowing this is exactly what's wrong with the country right now. We're allowing them to redefine language and refuse to enforce our laws. Exactly. The longer that you let this happen, the worse it's going to get. Wait, what?
By the eye of Agamotto!
There's no way. No, bro, like, there's no way. Dead ass? I don't think so, guys. I really don't think so. Yeah, that was a short bet. By the way, I do want to say, yesterday, we did get a little bit of an update here, okay? And so an here, exactly true, 100% true. And, yeah, this is it. Again, an anti-ICE protester reaches for a federal agent's weapon in Minneapolis. Look at this. Ooh. Oh. Oh.
Now you do the same for me, Lee. Look out, speculate something behind.
Oh, you see that? He's trying to grab the weapon. He's trying to grab the weapon. You can't let people do this shit. Oh my God! Look at that. He's trying to grab into it. You think you can just grab an officer's weapon? Are you crazy? Yeah. Are you fucking insane? Oh my God. Dumb fuck's lucky it wasn't a pepper ball gun. I know. That's a felony? I know. It is. Should they have killed him too? If they had, I wouldn't have cared. You don't grab an officer's weapon. You think you can just go and grab a fucking police officer's weapon away from them? Are you insane? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Here they come now.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
I'll get you next time.
Jesus, some of these people are just so out of their fucking mind. It's embarrassing. Yeah, he's lucky he's not dead. And this is another one, too. I'll read one more of these. And he's a fucking retard? Yeah, he is. As a sworn law enforcement officer, I can give you a little insider information. If you try to hit one of us with your car, we might shoot you for it multiple times. Getting hit with a car isn't something we signed up for. It hurts. Also, not the good hurt like it's the bad hurt that involves hospitals, speeches, and your face on a t-shirt. I hope this helps. Yep, there we go, guys. I can't with these people trying to call this a murder and all that shit. Well, hey, maybe they shouldn't be in front of the car. The thing is that you're never going to convince these people that it's not, okay? Like, it doesn't matter. The only thing you have to do is crush them. You crush them completely. You never go, like, after you say, basically, after you run one of them over, right? Or you shoot one of them for trying to run you over, then you victory lap around it, and you send in more people, and you do it even more. That's the only solution. You're never going to win these people over. You're never going to explain it to them. You're never gonna be like, oh, well, why won't you see my point of view? Because they don't want to. That's why they ain't gonna see it. So yeah, why not just shoot the tires? So that way you make the car unsafe and some other innocent bystander can get hurt indiscriminately because the person didn't follow the law? Nah, bro, you shoot them right in the fucking face. They said to stop the car. They said not to do this. They said to get out. And she's walking around, driving around. What are you talking about? Absolutely not. You shoot him right in the fucking head. That's it. Aim for the legs. Yeah, bro. Aim for the legs. The reason why they're defending her, let me explain why. The reason why they're defending this woman is because, the reason why, it's simple. It's because they agree with her and they want to create an ecosystem where being violent and abusing police officers is accepted. So what their goal is they want to push this idea that you can be violent and aggressive and hostile and attack police officers, because if they can push that idea, then they can get the police officers to leave, right? And that's it. So it's not really about whether the police officer is in the right or the wrong. You can see the video, and very clearly the woman was trying to run him over. She wasn't complying with the police, and they shot her. It's really easy to avoid having that happen. Comply with the police, and you're not going to have any problems. And don't try to drive your car over a police officer. You can literally see in the video, but they're not showing that video for a reason. They don't show this angle for a reason because it paints a much more gray picture. They can show the other angle from the car from the other direction, because that way you can't see what's happening. And so it can allow somebody like that to create a narrative, right? But the fact is that the reason why they're okay with it is that they agree with it. The reason why they're defending her is that they want to be able to run over police officers. That's it. So yeah, is the car okay? Unfortunately, the car is not okay, actually. It's not. The car seems to be really messed up, and it actually messed up somebody else's car. And it's sad to see that happen, right? I mean, it's a light post and another car. I mean, by the way, I have zero sympathy for people who are trying to run over police officers. They won't comply with the police. They're trying to block the roads. Like, you might think that I'm being, callous about this. These people are ridiculous. They're ridiculous. I want to live in a harmonious society where people follow the law and there's no problems. And these people try to ruin that. They try to make it worse. J.D. Vance called for Tim Walz to resign. You.
I like J.D. Vance.
What are you doing? Oh, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? You're the vice president. Y'all can't do anything about it. I cannot express this enough. It would have never escalated to this point if he had just gotten on top of these people at the very beginning. At the very beginning, they never held these people accountable. They just let them run wild. And because of that, it just got worse and worse and worse. And I think that's really what it was.
Another epic
altruism or virtue, I don't consider this a good thing. I don't think it's a high-minded idea. I think it's dangerous. And it's actively dangerous. And you can see it being dangerous whenever you see these stories come out when some guy's been arrested 7 times. Do you think most of the criminals will get released back into society? Yeah, sorry for not making sense. I'm nervous. No, it's not a big deal. But yeah, no, I don't care whether it's for reform or punishment or anything.
Pick your hero. Or villain. I'm not judging.
Make way for the King of Thieves. The cards always be in my favor.
Spider beacon in service.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Steve Rogers. Hey, Pete said you volunteered for the experiment. That's true.
He didn't lie. I presume you didn't.
Definitely against my will. I don't want to go back there. Buried history. Buried.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
A bit of darkness might come in handy this time. A shield! Can't see. Mon Dieu, that hurt!
Here comes trouble. Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now. The mission area is yours.
Now you do the same for me, Wee.
Don't mind me. You're just dying. Put her away. You're welcome.
Just the boost I need. Still got an edge. A helping hand, you are. As good as gotta keep her from stealing what's ours.
Systems restoring. You've captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
Gambit never
You are nothing!
Problem solved.
Gambit coming back for more.
Control lost!
Just the boost I need. Can't keep this cage down for long.
Feeling fantastic.
Extermination! Gambit never falls! A fresh start. Jump around. bucket for you.
Control seized.
Bring the bad guy.
Glory's almost yours.
Feeling fantastic. Got good.
You are nothing.
Just the boost I needed. Ever got your back? Double down.
Stomach is justice.
This is almost as fun as pulling a heist. Almost. Ha-ha! A bust!
Nice work.
A shield! Merci!
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
That's some nice armor you got there, sweetheart. How much you want for it?
More. Rocket. You know Spider isn't for sale.
How about just one arm? No? Ah, come on! You're killing me, kid.
Not yet, but I'd be careful if I were you. The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it? You're up, little one.
This looks like a gig for the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ah, got me good.
Hostile forces incoming.
Powering up.
An army. You must belong to Moon Knight.
Back in the double down. Ever got your back? Shield! Merci!
That's right. Everything is mine. Unit here. I'll patch you up.
Systems restoring. You know what to do, Spider?
Now you do the same. Moon haunts you.
The boost I needed.
Snack time already.
Lucky draw. Hey, isn't he the guy who was supposed to solve all this?
So long. Powering up.
Look at this. Left something behind.
What a relief.
Counting on you, then.
Double down.
That's the boost I needed.
Still got a name. Never fall. Extermination. 1,000 gods. As good as new. Now you do the same.
Control C. You captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
You expect the Gambit to throw
You're
some
off
beats?
as history, Spectre. Don't mind me. I'm just dying. More
A
moonlight.
shield. Merci.
boost I needed. Hey, Dee! Enjoy the amplifier! Shuffle up.
Glory is almost yours!
You're welcome.
Gambit got your back.
Just the boost I need.
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
Together to victory! You're welcome. I'll be ship-shape in no time. You better get up behind you.
Gambit got your back.
Gambit never falls!
Systems restoring.
Right.
Another epic victory! Big win! You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
Make way for the King of Thieves. Gonna have to play X-Men and Thief if I want to win this one.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
I've heard you're one of the toughest X-Men ever.
Depends on who you ask, sugar. But today, I'm feeling at the top of my game.
Glad to hear it. We could really use a heavy hitter like you on our side.
Coming from the fella with an iron fist?
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 1! All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
It's uneasy being Banner when everyone wants to know who. Let me draw!
Help, friends! I am healed. Look! My anger is healthy!
Ain't ready for Rogue to be a widow. Not yet.
I appreciate you.
Here is an enemy. I am healed.
Just the boost I need.
Well, that's better.
Let me draw.
I am wounded. I will help. It's spider time!
They hit real hard. Damn it, never fall! nobody stealing Gambit's chance to win.
Ooh, a touch of healing. Well, that's better.
They definitely look hostile.
Double down! Ain't nobody stealing Gambit's chance to win.
Help, friends.
Gambit never falls!
I appreciate you. Tony against the world.
Game over, Norby.
My friends are here. My life energy grows stronger. You are nothing.
Just a boost.
It's spider time!
Beautiful soul matches. May you find peace.
There's gonna be a fight. Now you do the same for me, Wee.
Dragon unleashed!
Ow. That really hurt.
It's gonna hurt.
You know you had that coming.
Double kill.
A helping hand. Now you do the same for me, Wee.
They got the
Kill
dragon.
that.
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
Lucky draw. Gambit enjoyed that a little too much.
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
Roulette. Lucky draw.
Bogies, here they come.
I appreciate you.
Heal me at once! Enemies on your tail.
No match for us. My friends are here.
Gambit never falls!
Never miss!
Gambit never falls! Wait, that hit the spot. A helping hand. Gambit got your back. Got it good. Helping hand.
It's spider time. My friends are here.
Bring on the chaos!
Come on. Who thought the Galwan was the best choice here? Show that one. Here's no tablet. Let's see what we can do. Lucky draw. Gambit got your back.
You're halfway there. Keep going.
They hitting real hard. Just who Gambit was looking for.
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
You are nothing.
Invigorating, no?
What did you
You're quite welcome. Your god is such...
Ain't nobody stealing Gambit's chance to win.
Almost there. Don't turn back now.
Gambit never Sholau wants this old tablet. Let's see what we can do.
Down to 30 seconds. Your vehicle reached a checkpoint. Keep up the momentum.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's my news.
Now you do the same for me, Wee. So who wants to come a gambit to wake up the sleeping dragon?
Transgressions have been repaid in kind.
Bless me.
Found me someone to fight.
Don't let anything stand in your way.
Gambit never falls! Never miss! Kill that!
Only 60 seconds left.
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man! Once I get you stuck!
Double KO.
Oh,
Can't keep this cage down for long.
Played a trick on him. Trickster.
Sholau wants this old tablet. Let's see what we can do. Double back!
Remind me not to make the tiny shark
Down to
angry.
30 seconds. You're up against so close. Use your big
Born again!
one touch of healing.
Gambit never falls! Wait, don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
We'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner. Well, you can't expect to win them all. Pick your hero. Or villain. I'm not judging.
Make way for the King of Thieves.
Well, I've looked at moving because I'd like to keep more of my money too. And
where should more move? You know how many people moved out of your state, California?
oh, I know.
No, Newsom?
Yeah, no. People do move.
A
There's no
million.
doubt about that. People move in America, and you're right.
No, but they're not moving because they want a better view. They like to keep more of their money
Yes,
that they
that's
earn.
true. Yeah, that's true.
Florida did a sleeping study. So when DeSantis became governor, there were 250,000 more registered Democrats in Florida when he became governor 8 years ago. Now there's 1.4 million more registered Republicans in Florida.
area.
That's all migration from COVID and re-registration from COVID, 100%. So it absolutely is happening.
Bill Maher is unloading on the left for wrecking cities that once reliably voted blue. The comedian argues the left ditched these cities to chase the radical trend, doing so while voters feel ignored, unsafe, broke, and furious. That gamble is political self-destruction, risking the DNC's future in American politics. As always, smash the like button if you're into sharp political commentary. Let's dive straight into it.
I read that the current mayor of Chicago has an approval rating of 6.6%.
Round it up.
I mean, you were just the ambassador to Japan. If that was your approval rating in Japan, they would do it on 5.
Maybe do it at 27.
I mean, what's going on in Chicago?
Look, I mean, this is, you were talking about this war, you have also the mayor of New York not doing well. Obviously, other things also here in Los Angeles not doing well, the mayor here. Look, and then you have mayors, like the mayor of San Francisco and other cities that are doing well. So I would say, look, there is a general rule. I had this when I was mayor. Safe streets, strong schools, stable finance. Focus on those three things and your city should be fine.
Rahm Emanuel opens by laying out exactly why he believes the mayor of Chicago is sitting at a disastrous 6.6% approval rating. And in his view, it's not complicated. It comes down to three things voters feel every single day: public safety, financial instability, and food. Chicago residents are dealing with rising crime, budget chaos, and the education system that continues to disappoint. Yet they see little urgency or focus from City Hall. Emanuel argues that leadership isn't about grand rhetoric or ideological signaling. It's about fixing what's broken right in front of people. Instead, Chicagoans feel bored while their quality of life declines. The frustration isn't abstract, it's personal. Parents worry about their kids' school, workers worry about safety on their commute, taxpayers worry about where their money is going. According to Emanuel, the mayor's problem isn't messaging, it's priority. And voters are making it painfully clear they've had enough.
We've gone through 5 years where people became way too permissive in the culture. They were all, which is why everything's locked up at Walgreens and CVS. And I'll say this about our schools. I don't want to hear another word about the locker room. I don't want to hear another word about the bathroom. You better start focusing on the classroom. We had the worst reading scores for 8th graders in 30 years. And nobody, not a governor, not a mayor, not a president, not a secretary of education is talking about it. We're all wrapped up. Look, in 7th grade, if I known that I could have said the word they and got in the girls' bathroom, I would have done it. We literally are a superpower. We're facing off against China with 1.4 billion people, and 2/3 of our children can't read 8th grade books. So no more about the lot. Wait a second, I'm on a roll for a second.
Rahm is right, and this is where the frustration really sets in. Our public school system is clearly failing, yet instead of confronting collapsing standards, poor outcomes, and classrooms in crisis, the national conversation was hijacked by debates over locker rooms and bathrooms. While parents were asking why their kids couldn't read, write, or compete, leadership was busy chasing cultural flashpoints that affect a tiny fraction of students. Rahm's point is painfully simple. We allow fringe arguments to dominate the discourse while abandoning what actually matters. Our children's education. School should be about learning, safety, and opportunity, not ideological battlegrounds. It's impossible to ignore who led the charge in these debates. The Democratic Party placed itself at the forefront, prioritizing symbolic victories over practical solutions. Parents feel unheard. Students are left behind. Trusting leadership continues to collapse. This isn't just a political failure. It's a generational
To be fair, this is a huge Democratic Party problem. If you look at Democratic cities, they are terribly run. They have incredibly high taxes. It is impossible to build, so the cost of housing. Let me finish. I really That cost of housing is crazy in places like New York and Chicago. If you look at Democratic states, look, you go look at New York versus Florida, okay? Roughly the same population. The budget of New York State is twice that of Florida. What are they? I live in New York. I pay the highest taxes in New York. You get nothing for it. And I think that is the image people have of the Democratic Party.
Fareed Zakaria isn't wrong, and more people are starting to admit it out loud. Across the country, Democratic leadership appears to be running once thriving cities into the never miss. Strangled by layers of red tape and left being exposed as public safety deteriorates. Small businesses struggle to survive. Middle-class families feel punished for staying. Basic city services feel slower and less reliable. People can't afford to live where they work, don't feel safe walking their own streets. They go to That's why we're seeing a steady exodus from new cities to places that promise something simple. Lower taxes, fewer bureaucratic hurdles, and a stronger commitment to law and order. Migration is driven by ideology alone. It's driven by quality of life. People want cities that work, not cities that lecture them while failing to deliver the basics.
Lots of taxes, lots of regulations, but nothing gets done.
I live in L.A.
Right. And I think, listen. If the Democrats have to own this and realize the answer to everything is not more taxes, more regulation. People are fed up of that and they feel that it isn't working.
The Democrats, as somebody who produced the best graduation growth in the country, No, that's not the point. The point was, I'll take that. The point isn't the rules. The point is the results. And the party has gotten way too focused on what the rules are. And I do agree with you on this. We have made it impossible to function as a city or as a state.
For far too long, Democrats have been obsessed with rules while far less about results. Their instinct is to regulate everything, from public discourse to policy debates to how many permits you need just to fix a roof. Bureaucracy isn't just bloated, it's suffocating. Everyday tasks that take hours drag on for weeks or months, buried under paperwork. Approvals and endless reviews. Small businesses feel it the hardest. Governments and workers feel it too. Want to renovate, expand, or build. Get ready to wait for the system. No one seems accountable when it's solved. Instead of asking if the policies actually work, leadership keeps adding more layers, more rules, and more agencies. Paralysis. Cities don't feel governed. People aren't asking for chaos, they're asking for competence. And when government becomes an obstacle instead of a service, frustration is inevitable.
Take an example of this example. Here, obviously in LA, it took a fire and a natural disaster to make you realize, that rule's not that important. In Pennsylvania, a bridge collapsed. All of a sudden we go, well, that environmental rule is just not important. We've got to build a bridge. It's much more important. And I think the Democratic Party should take a look at and say, we're going to be honest, like we did in 1994 with reinventing government. Everything is on the table. Nothing is safe. And let me just look at it and say, that's essential. Those two things get out of here. And that doesn't happen. And that's a fair...
Ram is right, and if the DNC wants to rebuild trust in its own cities, it needs a serious reckoning with overregulation. That means taking a hard look at rules that add little value and scrapping them, starting with places like Los Angeles. The city's taxes are sky high, yet residents struggle to see what they're actually getting in return. Infrastructure projects drag on, housing initiatives stall, and costs balloon, all because of endless paperwork, approvals, and permit delays. In California, it's not uncommon for major projects to sit frozen for years, not due to a lack of funding or vision, but because bureaucracy refuses to move. This isn't progressive governance, it's paralysis. Voters don't want slogans or studies, they want visible results. If Democrats want to prove they can still run cities effectively, they must prioritize speed, efficiency, and accountability. Cut the red tape, deliver outcomes, and earn back credibility where it matters most.
Do you think that Mamdani's election will lead more financial organizations to leave New York City for Wall Street South in Florida? Tell me, I've read that term just recently, Wall Street South, Florida. This is your state. What is that?
A lot of Wall Street guys have moved to Palm Beach. It's been happening really since COVID. It's accelerated with increases in taxes. It's not just out of New York. It's New Jersey, Connecticut, it's Chicago, it's California.
So they're fleeing high tax blue states for Florida.
And none of this should come as a surprise. Over the past few years, we've watched a steady stream of high-profile individuals and major companies pack up and leave states like California and New York. These aren't random moves or coincidences. They're calculated exits driven by frustration with Democratic leadership. Business owners cite punishing taxes, suffocating regulations, and an increasingly hostile environment for growth. Residents point to declining public safety, crumbling infrastructure, and a rising cost of living with little to show for it. Many of these people didn't want to leave. These were their home states, places they loved and helped build. But they feel those cities and states are being slowly hollowed out by political decisions that prioritize ideology over practicality. When opportunity, safety, and affordability vanish, loyalty only goes so far. The exodus is a warning sign, not a talking point, and ignoring it only accelerates the decline.
This is the luckiest guy in the world that Mamdani got elected, because his district is going to explode. My house, I live 8 miles outside of Queens, has gone up 20% in value since Mamdani announced. Okay?
Because
people aren't going to pay the punishing taxes. New York is the highest tax state in the union.
But you said your house value's gone up.
Yeah, because they're moving to Nassau County.
Oh, they're moving out of the city.
Out of the city, and they can still take the train back in the city and not pay the millionaire's tax or whatever crazy thing this guy wants. But what people don't understand is he can't raise the taxes unless the state okays it.
New York's political direction is already sending shockwaves through the city, with Zohran Mamdani emerging as a leading figure in the mayoral race. Many residents and business owners are heading for the exits. The concern isn't theoretical, it's financial. Mamdani's push for a so-called millionaire's tax has set off alarms among high earners and investors who feel they're being singled out yet again. These are people who already shoulder a massive tax burden, and many see this proposal as punitive rather than productive. To them, it's not about fairness, it's about discouraging success and choking off growth. Critics argue that instead of fixing crime, housing, or basic services, leadership is reaching for easy political wins by squeezing a shrinking tax base. The fear is simple: higher taxes will drive out capital, talent, and jobs, leaving the city poorer, weaker, and more dependent. For many, leaving now feels like self-preservation.
They don't understand that. They don't know what seizing the means of production is, but Ken Griffith does. He's the big Wall Street titan. He knows what it is, and that's why he's down in Palm Beach.
We'll see if they move. I mean, you saw Bill.
They're going to move.
Well, look,
they're already moving.
Hold on, Bill Ackman.
No, they're not.
Hold on.
People say they're going to move all the time after elections. They don't do it.
Bill Ackman said he was going to move.
You know how many people moved out of New York City in the last 3 years? 600,000. They're moving.
Yeah, they're moving.
I don't understand why Maher refuses to acknowledge the obvious. People are leaving blue cities and states in large numbers, citing poor governance as a major reason. This isn't speculation, it's happening in real time. Countless individuals, including high-profile figures like Joe Rogan and other celebrities, have packed up and left California citing the same frustrations: crushing taxes, bloated bureaucracy, rising crime, and declining quality of life. It's not just celebrities either. Major companies and corporations are relocating or scaling back operations to escape the heavy tax burden and stifling regulations. Jobs, investment, and economic growth are leaving alongside them, creating a vicious cycle that further erodes these cities' prosperity. Yet, some commentators, Maher included, seem determined to ignore this migration, treating it as isolated anecdotes rather than a clear pattern. The pattern is becoming increasingly hard to ignore. When governance fails, people vote with their feet, and blue cities feel the consequences.
You know how many people moved out of your state, California?
Oh, I know.
Under Newsom?
Yeah, no. People do move. There's no doubt about that. People move in America, and you're right.
No, but they're not moving because they want a better view. They like to keep more of their money that they earn.
Yeah, that's true.
Look, Florida is a really good case study. So when DeSantis became governor, there were 250,000 more registered Democrats in Florida when he became governor 8 years ago. Now there's 1.4 million more registered Republicans in Florida. That's all migration from COVID and re-registration from COVID, 100%. Right. So it absolutely is happening.
Across the country, a pattern is emerging that can no longer be ignored. From Chicago to Los Angeles, New York to San Francisco, blue cities once seen as engines of culture, innovation, and opportunity are now struggling under Democratic leadership. High taxes, crushing bureaucracy, bureaucracy, failing schools, rising crime, and stifling regulations have created an environment where residents and businesses feel trapped, unheard, and unprotected. Rahm Emanuel, Fareed Zakaria, and countless critics are pointing to the same conclusion. When leadership prioritizes ideology, rules, and symbolic gestures over practical solutions, cities suffer and voters notice. Parents worry about their children's education, workers fear for their safety, and entrepreneurs pack up and leave, seeking stability and opportunity elsewhere. Celebrities, corporations, and ordinary families alike are abandoning these areas, proving that governance matters far more than slogans. If the Democratic Party hopes to reverse this trend and regain trust, it must cut the red tape, lower taxes, focus on results, and deliver services that actually improve daily life. Otherwise, the exodus will continue, and once great cities may never fully recover. The message is clear. People leave when leadership fails. And on this note, we draw the curtains on today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Now it's time for Lefties Losing It. Let's begin with an important message from this young woman who probably doesn't identify as one.
Hey, I'm here and I'm genderqueer, and we all need to remember that free Gaza, trans rights are human rights.
God, I hope that's parody. Now to the Democrats' love of criminals, gangbangers in the country illegally. They're now singing songs about this bizarro infatuation.
Kill Marvis, our neighbor. You can't have him, Trump. No! Kill Marvis, our neighbor. You can't have him, Trump.
It's quite catchy, isn't it? Let's check in on actor.
Chicago, LA, Miami, Boston, and on and on. What's after that? The NFL, the NBA, you're going to federalize them and take them over? All he wants to do is deflect from his inadequacy by these bold, insane moves. Take over DC police. It's not what I need. I don't need this DC police to be taken over. I don't. I need to get the tariffs over with. I need to get the war over with. I need to get the Gaza thing over with. And after that, we have something else we have to get over.
He looks more hobo than Hollywood these days. That is a deeply unhappy man. Now to CNN, where Tiffany Cross casually calls White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller a white supremacist. And shame on host Abby Phillips for not jumping in when this ugly defamatory smear was used.
Really quickly, Abby, because anytime that we play something from Stephen Miller, it would be journalistic integrity to point out that he is a white supremacist and he is the brainchild behind this policy. That's not my opinion, that's actual facts. And for him to purport lies from the Oval Office as a white supremacist, it should be pointed out.
Disgusting antics there from CNN. Hope he doesn't sue you, love, because you don't have a leg to stand on. And what weird behaviour for a white supremacist to be saving the lives of black folk in DC, because they are the biggest beneficiaries of the law and order crackdown, a point that this next gentleman makes.
How come in the past 11 days, since President Trump has federalized the DC Metro Police, no black individual has been unalived? There's a stat that says in the past 7 years in DC, that black people are 112 times more likely to be unalived than white people. So if Black Lives Matter, the left, Democrats, progressives, how come you all are not celebrating that no black person has been unalived in the past 11 days in DC since Trump took over?
Yep, the biggest beneficiary of Trump cleaning up DC are the locals. Even though more than 90% of them are Democrats, they are beginning to understand what a massive achievement it has been to tackle this problem head on.
People don't understand how big of a deal this is because the Capitol is right there within like a 6 or 7 minute walk. And then also local residents, they did not like walking there, whether in the daytime or the evening. Some people would take taxis just to avoid any type of encounters. And people have been talking about cleaning this up for a decade. And you mean to tell me President Trump hasn't even had control for 30 days and he cleaned it all up?
Yep, they've been talking about it for decades, but it took Trump to actually do it. Now, a little fact checking. Let's go to the mental health facility masquerading as a news organisation known as MSNBC. And inmate anchor Joe Scarborough thought he had a real gotcha here. When discussing violent crime in the US, he thought he could confuse his already dim-witted audience with some stats about Republican cities being more dangerous than Democrat strongholds. It's of course a massive lie, but when has that ever stopped MSNBC?
7, 8 of the top 10 deadliest cities in America. Big cities are usually in red states. If you look at Gavin Newsom and the Speaker sort of had a back and forth this weekend. Speaker Johnson's home state of Louisiana, 400 times more likely. You're 400 times more likely to be killed in Louisiana than you are in California. Certainly nothing you ever hear in the right-wing sort of blogosphere.
Yeah, you may not hear that among the right wing, Joe, because it's a pack of verifiable lies. Louisiana having a murder rate 400 times higher than California. Just a flat out lie. You're either really, really bad at maths or you're lying. Take your pick. Now, if you want to know why Louisiana has a high crime rate, then you only need to look at the cities where the crime is happening. Are they Republican strongholds? Well, of course they're not. Surely Joe or Mika would mention that important fact to their dwindling audience. He's about to get specific here.
Specifically, the chances of being killed or having violent crime done to you or your family member is so much higher. The percentages in Monroe, Louisiana, which is right by the Speaker's district, Shreveport, Louisiana, which is in the Speaker's district, New Orleans, Louisiana, which is in the Speaker's home state.
Okay, let's do a little fact checking. So you mentioned 3 cities in Louisiana having terrible crime rates, terrible rates of violence. True, but are they Republican strongholds or Democrat cities? Just because the state is Republican doesn't mean the big cities are. Indeed, America's biggest cities have become dominated by the Democrats, and it shows. He mentioned New Orleans, well, terrible crime rate and terribly run by Democrats, not Republicans, Joe. Less than 35% of New Orleans voted for Trump last year, and New Orleans has been Democrat-run for more than 100 years. How are you blaming Republicans for that? Indeed, the last Republican mayor was elected in 1870. As for the other 2 cities he named there, well, they too have suffered from Democrat rule. Monroe is over 60% black, and only last year they elected an independent mayor after decades of Democrat rule. The only Republican-led city named there by Joe is Shreveport, but that mayor was only elected in 2022 after decades of continuous Democrat rule. But the MSNBC misinformation didn't end there. Listen to Joe name more Democrat-run cities that he says are proof that Republicans are bad at law and order.
Little Rock, Arkansas, home of course, Tom Cotton and some very conservative governor. Bessemer, Alabama, right there in Birmingham. Again, you know, what's Tommy Tuberville doing? Why is crime so bad?
Little Rock, Arkansas, and Bessemer, Alabama. They're his 2 Trump cards. Little problem there, Joe. Arkansas, my home state, may be Republican, but Little Rock is very much Democrat. Yep, see how red and beautiful Arkansas is, but then you have those 2 blue Democrat strongholds next to each other, Little Rock and Pine Bluff, where all the crime happens. Joe Scarborough seriously mentioned Little Rock as an example of a Republican-run town, a town which hasn't had a Republican mayor since the 1950s. That just leaves Bessemer, Alabama, and guess what? It's another Democrat-led city. The current mayor serving a 4th term, so We give Joe Scarborough and MSNBC 5 Pinocchios there. Now, the Democrats are trying to shake off their race and gender obsessions, but they are not succeeding. Let's see how they chose to begin the DNC summer meeting in Minnesota. This party is in disarray.
Lindy Samek Nindichinikas, Amek Dodam, Saginaw Chippewa Dojaba, Anishinaabe Kwe, and Dow. The DNC acknowledges and honors the Dakota Oyate, the Dakota people, who are the original stewards of the lands and waters of Minneapolis. The Dakota cared for the lands, lakes, and the Wakatonka, the Great River, the Mississippi River, for thousands of years before colonization. This land was not claimed or traded. It's a part of a history of broken treaties and promises. And in many ways, we still live in a system built to suppress Indigenous peoples' cultural and spiritual history.
Joining me now is filmmaker and commentator Ami Horowitz. Ami, why are the Democrats like this? Land acknowledgements, they're an issue in this country. How are they perceived in the US?
Yeah, not well, Rita. Look, first of all, if you're going to pick somebody who is going to speak that language, pick somebody with the proper accent. I mean, she sounds like somebody who learned 6 months of 5th grade French trying to speak in Paris. I mean, my Spanish sounds better than that. Also, I want to be clear about something. Look, there were people living in that Minnesota area 10,000 years before the Dakota Ayote did, right? I guess they lost their Native American status as well. And had the Dakota Ayote, how were they a dominant force in Minnesota? Well, they warred for 100 years with other Native American tribes in that area to have supremacy over the area. I don't know why we've deemed it that they're the Native people who took over. Well, they did. They took over primarily through war. Not that there's anything particularly wrong with that. That's just the way life was back then, right? Okay, now that we got out of the way kind of the technical aspects of the failure of the Democrats on that particular issue, the practical effects. I mean, what are they doing? They can't be normal. They don't have the ability. It's like they're back in time warp of 2024. Nobody wants this, right? They just can't do this thing right. If they're planning on running this back, right, running the same plays they had from 2024 now, they're simply going to lose. I thought they were going to change their stripes. You heard some Democrats saying, like, there's a Democratic think tank that said, look, there's a bunch of words we should not be using, triggering, and right, and white supremacy. And I thought, okay, they get it. You know what? They just don't.
No, they don't. That was actually very interesting, where they had that long list of words they should purge from their vocabulary, but it's all they know. They just keep going back to this craziness. And if you want to talk about craziness, New York is a good place to start. It's a city that is sinking further into chaos under Democrat rule, and it might get a very interesting new mayor shortly. You've got the tennis stars in town at the moment, Ami, for the US Open. Let's hear from a top player, Casper Ruud. And Ami, you may not like what you're about to hear, but I hear this same sentiment from so many others who visit NYC for the first time.
I'm not a big fan of the smell of weed when you walk around now, but seriously, it's not even, I'm not even joking here, because it's every corner of every street you smell it by almost anywhere you go.
It's not just your city, NYC. The big cities in America stink.
Figuratively and literally, Rita. Yeah, I mean, this is not that hard. Look, when Marcus Mondami takes over, I think he will solve the problem, because the entire city will stink, and therefore you won't notice it in one particular place or another place. We know how this thing goes wrong, right? I mean, it's the small things. It's one word: permissiveness, right? That's it. That's the whole problem in a nutshell. And when you allow people to fair jump, play their music loudly, or smoke the marijuana on the street, right? This is what leads to bigger things. The whole idea of broken windows theory, right? And that a broken window leads to the destruction of the city. We saw this happen historically, and we saw how we solved it through Giuliani. We have such a short historical perspective and historical remembrance, right? And even worse than that is this real racist attitude that the left has saying like, hey, we got to give back the brown community because we have to allow them to do these terrible things. So we got to have them do their thing as if like this is like brown and black behavior. But we have to allow them to do that and not make them feel marginalized by behaving that way. It's so weird. It's so wrong. Look, our cities are on the precipice, and we have to make a decision whether or not we're going to topple them over or we're going to rebuild them.
It's the bigotry of low expectations there, isn't it? Where you presume that this is how certain people behave, and that is not true, and it is, I think, deeply racist to hold that point of view. And the big cities, Army, don't just stink of marijuana, they are crime-riddled. And I want to play you a clip here of a victim of DC crime. Earlier today, White House correspondent Iris Teo brought Trump's press conference to a standstill, talking about how close she came to losing her life in DC.
More than 2 years ago, it was a Saturday morning in broad daylight. I was on my way to work, and a young man with a black ski mask pointed a gun at my face and threatened me to hand over my phone, my wallet, my laptop, and everything else. And when I refused, he used the butt of his handgun to strike me across the face, in the cheek, or what some people call pistol whip me, before running away. And that has deeply traumatized myself and my family. Ever since, I've never dared to walk in the street of DC at night ever, and my family was extremely worried. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for what you're doing right now. Thank you for now making DC safer.
Thank you very much.
For us, for our families, for my parents, on my behalf of my parents, and now my baby on the way. Thank you so much.
Even the partisan White House press pack applauded that, Army. That was a surprise.
Yeah, let's not go crazy here, Rita, right? I mean, the media and the left have been downplaying violence in our cities for years, right? And even though we're living in the same cities and witnessing the same decline, I'm going to workshop a new political theory here, Rita, if you don't mind. I call it the Dopplerization of politics, okay? And let me tell you what that means. So the Doppler effect is the idea that an observer looking or listening to the same thing sounds different or looks different depending on where they're standing, right? And that's what we're all with our politics, where we're looking at the same event, right? The same issues, the same problems, but we are coming to different conclusions and see them differently based on what our political standings are. How'd you like that, Rita? Hope you like that. And yeah,
I love it when you coin a new term.
I did it on your show. And yeah, look, you're looking at Washington, D.C. I don't know how else you could look at this. Carjackings, right, which is plaguing the city, is up 300% since 2018. This is nothing new. That when Joe Biden was a senator from Delaware, and he was talking about how when he was living in D.C., he would go right through all the red lights because he was afraid of being carjacked. That was like 300 years ago, Rita. Nothing's changed.
It hasn't, and well, what's changed is the crime stats in DC. Quite astonishing drop in crime, violent crime in the last couple of weeks. And Trump's talking, it's easy to do it in DC because the jurisdiction's different, but he's talking about extending this law and order effort to places like Chicago and New York and LA, San Francisco. Do you see that happening, or is that going to be just too difficult a task, particularly when you've got Democrat mayors and governors saying no thank you?
Yeah, I don't think, frankly, it's going. Look, D.C. is a different animal because it is the District of Columbia. It's under federal jurisdiction. These other cities and states are not, and it gets very constitutionally hairy when you start bringing the military into other cities. I personally am not a big fan of it. I think that what we need to do is show D.C. as a model, show the electorate in those cities and states what it could be, and then you kick those guys out and bring people who will bring, in fact, law and order to those cities.
Well, you know what? I agree with you. It's going to be a gargantuan task. It may not be feasible, but I reckon he's going to try to do it. I think he's serious about extending this. Now, let's talk about gangbanger and illegal immigrant Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's called the US government corrupt in viral footage of him being arrested by ICE again. The 30-year-old El Salvador native is facing the possibility of being deported to Uganda this time and is awaiting trial on human smuggling charges. Army, the Democrats celebrated his return to the US, but I think they're going to figure out at some point that this issue is not one they want to go to the polls with.
Yeah, you know, they say Uganda is gorgeous in the fall, right? Can't miss it then. Look, Rita, I think the Democrats can probably find a illegal immigrant who is being deported who is somewhat of a case that people can hang their hat on. This guy is not it. Like, I'm sure they can find some illegal who stopped a man from beating his wife. In this case, Abreu Garcia was the man who was beating his wife. It's unbelievable to me that they're singing his praises, right? And they're making a case. This is the wrong guy.
Literally singing.
Yeah, like you showed before. He's losing it. I don't understand why they continue down this road. Look, I am a fan of due process. I think a man like him should have due process, and when that's over, he should be evicted. Now, this Uganda thing is weird. I don't know why they want to send him there. Just send him back to where he came from, right? El Salvador. Now, one thing I want to point out is very fascinating. So because I want to know, double checking where he's from. I want to make sure he was from El Salvador, and I checked with Gemini AI, right? And I said, where is Abreu Garcia originally from? And here's what AI told me. It's fascinating. Abreu Garcia is from El Salvador, but he spent most of his adult life in Maryland, USA, where his wife and children live. He illegally immigrated to the U.S. at age 16 to escape gang threats in his home country. I asked for no background and no context, but AI forced this onto me.
It is AI is being corrupted before our eyes. We see it all the time. Now, Ami, I've got to ask you about this. I don't want to, but the producers are insisting that we talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce announcing their engagement. It's no secret Donald Trump is not a massive fan of Taylor Swift. She's campaigned against him. And I think the press thought they were going to get a nasty response when they asked him about this engagement, but he kept it very civilized.
Well, I wish him a lot of luck. No, I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy, and I think that she's a terrific person. So I wish them a lot of luck.
Very gracious, very, very generous there. Ami, how long are you giving this union?
Forever, Rita. What? Rita, you're such a cynic, and I am a hopeless romantic, okay? Look, if a hard-partying football player and a boy crazy singing billionaire can't make it in this crazy world, I don't know who can.
Well, I'm just hoping for just 2 or 3 top-selling albums post-breakup, because that's where she does her best material, and I think a lot of fans no, I'm kidding. Of course we want them to be living happily ever after. We're very heavily invested in this. Before you go, earlier in the week, I talked about what a funny president Donald Trump is. Whether you love him or hate him, you cannot deny his comedic timing is superb. And I think that's rubbing off on other senior members of the administration. Here is Secretary of State Marco Rubio making a joke about Labor Day.
For me personally, this is the most meaningful Labor Day of my life as someone with 4 jobs. And so... it's true.
Even POTUS like that one, Army?
Yeah, look, while the material was funny, no question about it, so was the delivery. I'm not a big fan. Look, there's only one stand-up comedian in the White House, and that's the president. I don't want Rubio taking anything away from the comic-in-chief, President Donald Trump. So, yeah, look, let's leave it to the president. He's the guy who's funny. Give him the airtime.
Army, before you go, I've got to ask you about our Defence Minister being in town. He's in DC meeting with Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, hopefully the Vice President as well. How much excitement and news coverage is there of Australia in this big meeting?
I'll let you a little secret, Rita. no one cares and no one knows about it. Sorry.
No, surely people are just stopping in the streets and saying, when is Anthony Albanese going to get a one-on-one meeting with the president? Because our Prime Minister still has not had a one-on-one meeting with the president. That's not very nice, because we are supposed to be allies, Army.
When I get stopped in the streets and people recognize me from the Rita Panahi show, their number one question is, why doesn't Albanese get more FaceTime with President Trump? Number one question, kid you not.
I believe you 100%. Army Horowitz, thank you so much for your time.
Year across the world.
Now, Savannah, after watching that and seeing what happened to Charlie, and I know you and Charlie Kirk, you're a big admirer of his work, and he was aware of what happened to you, certainly. Are you now afraid to go out and have these discussions with people in good faith? Because the violence of the left, the political violence, is undeniable. It's on the rise. How do you feel going out on the streets and having these discussions?
Right. Well, of course, it's always a concern that each time I go out, not even when I'm just going to film, but wondering if somebody who supports Brianna Rivers' actions, if they see me out on the street, are they going to try to do something as well? Because this case being dropped, the message that it sends is that I can go hurt someone that I disagree with and I can get away with it. It's disgusting. But the thing is that I believe in God. He is my savior. And he told us that you will be persecuted if you aim to live a life in Christ Jesus. And so I cannot be fearful. I cannot cower to these people, because they may not be physically weak, but they are weak-minded. And that just goes to show that they turn to violence when they can't step up to a microphone and have a conversation. In order to create a better country and a better world, we have to continue trying to have these conversations to change minds and move our country forward.
Now, just last week, you interviewed some college students about Charlie Kirk's death. Let's have a look at one of those responses.
I'm glad that he died. He don't give a about me. And maybe that's crazy to say I'm glad that he died, but I just like to see when people of power that do bad things to people in community, I like to see them get their justice.
Savannah, how prevalent is that sort of attitude on college campuses? It is just so cruel and callous, and it's still shocking to hear that. How many others you spoke to felt that the way that person did?
Right. Well, I would say about half of them agreed that, you know, it was justified, that the reason that Charlie Kirk was murdered was because he was met with what he believed in and what he taught, which is just, it's so disturbing, because the Second Amendment is not meant to be used to just go around and murder people, but rather to protect yourself from those who aren't going to follow the law. And an interesting thing about this particular interview, this conversation, is that the reason this person, this young man, said that he felt he could say that was because he doesn't know him. It's the internet and people make memes and it's funny. So I decided to ask him, would you look me in the face and say that I deserve to die? Because I agreed with 99% of what Charlie believed in. And he could not tell me to my face that he thinks that I should die. And so that's why we go out and have these conversations. This is why Charlie went out and had these conversations, because the internet is such a dehumanizing tool, right? People look at other people online, they don't see a person, they don't see somebody with feelings, they see a username and they see just the little bits of life that people want to share. And so with that, they take all of their thoughts about one person only from that, and if you disagree with them, it's easier to dehumanize people.
Savannah Craven-Nantel, thank you so much for your time tonight. Now it's time for Lefties Losing It. Let's start with this lady who has a bold plan. Let's hear her out.
Vasectomies for baby boys. Yeah, I said it. And if that made you flinch, good. You won't want to miss part 2 either. Trust me. You want to solve half of society's problems? Start there. Fix the fathers, fix the future. This one move would take women out of survival mode, kids out of poverty, and society out of chaos. And the only ones mad would be the ones that never wanted accountability in the first place.
I think that would reduce crime, but I'm pretty sure mandatory vasectomies for boys would also end humankind as we know it. The Minnesota Vikings, let's talk about them. They've decided that football fans are just gagging for some male cheerleaders, but not the type that throw the girls in the air, the type who dance like girls. And Minnesota has unveiled yet another male cheerleader. This one has fantastic hair. I've got to say, I'm a little bit jealous.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
Break down.
If you don't like me, that's fine. But, you know, watch your mouth.
You know, the Minnesota Vikings should add a third male cheerleader, and I know just the man, Tampon Tim Walz, the governor who put tampons in boys' bathrooms across Minnesota. You know, it makes sense. Let's put all that together. I think it's going to work.
Girl, what did that girl just say, girl? Girl, I don't dance, I work. I don't play, I slay. I don't walk, I strut. And then sashay. Okay. I don't work for free. No, that's not the tea, hunty. No, man. So make it rain on me. And I might let you see. What you gonna let them see? My nails, hair, hips.
Let's check in now with the tolerant, loving, inclusive left. They are just a delightful group of people, aren't they? So open-minded, rational and happy. Like this gentleman who saw a couple of Republicans enjoying a coffee and thought they might enjoy being harassed with just irrational abuse. Maybe they'd also like to be spat on.
Hillary and Obama for treason in the firing squad. What do you think? Good idea?
I don't know why you're assuming we share every opinion you find on the internet. And honestly, we'd like to get back to our... Sir, we'd like to get back to our coffee. You've made your point. We'd like to get back to our coffee.
Don't hide behind him or your yarmulke with your...
You'd think that man is old enough to know better, but sadly there is no cure for stage 4 TDS. And here we find out why he felt so entitled to attack two strangers in West Hartford.
I approached you because I heard you in there and out here talking about your Republican verities, okay? That's what you are. That's what you are. I'm a lawyer. I've done plenty of immigration. I'm asking you, do you know any immigrants? Do you know any migrants? Do you know any refugees? I'm not talking about what you read in the Hartford Current. You, do you know any?
What? Absolutely. Why are you cursing at us? I'm so confused. What did
because
you do
the President of the United States
does.
does.
What did myself and Ori do to
President
you?
of the United States is always happy to say goddamn and mother and this and that.
Sir, what have we done to you? Please let us finish our coffee.
What has he done?
What have we done to you? Please let us finish our coffee.
By being on here speaking out about Republicans and Trumpism.
You know what? Those guys are too nice. They're too polite, too diplomatic. That lunatic deserves to be told he is a dim-witted bigot. That's what he deserves. The next generation of Republicans aren't going to be so polite. Now, guess who is back? Dylan Mulvaney, the dude who lampoons womanhood, has a new podcast.
In the shower, on a walk, the Dylan Hour, feeling sweet, feeling sour. I feel nothing. The Dylan Hour, my or 2 or 3. You have no friends. All good, you got me.
Now, the Trump administration's efforts to deport millions of illegal immigrants continues to be obstructed by blue cities, Democrat strongholds such as Chicago, LA and Boston. Let's hear now from the Boston Mayor, Michelle Wu.
Boston received a letter from the Attorney General of the United States on official letterhead from the federal government threatening to prosecute city officials and withhold federal funds unless we cooperate with carrying out mass deportations. These threats are serious and consequential. But our same communities have told me loud and clear that silence in the face of oppression is not an option.
Joining me now is political advisor and commentator CJ Pearson. CJ, there you have it. According to the Boston mayor, deporting illegal immigrants is oppression. When are these democracy deniers going to understand that Donald Trump has a mandate from the American people to implement these policies? This is what he campaigned on.
You know, it's as if they've been living under a rock, Rita, right? You know, the American people, as you just said, did give President Trump a mandate to secure our southern border and to make America safe again. This is exactly what he is doing. When the American people voted resoundingly for President Trump, they voted against open borders. They voted against allowing illegal aliens to be given a type of preferential treatment that even American citizens aren't given when breaking the law. And if the mayor of Boston has a problem with that, well, she should take it up with the 80+ million Americans who voted for President Trump.
Now to an Australian columnist who has written a piece for the Courier Mail, a newspaper here in Queensland, calling for Donald Trump to be banned from entering Australia. Madonna King has written, should a convicted felon guilty on dozens of accounts of falsifying business records be welcomed into Australia with open arms? What about an overseas criminal with a history of bragging about groping women? Would you allow him to bed down in your spare room? What about if this same man, an unrepentant offender and misogynist, used his office to hurt what you were fighting for in terms of climate, trade and security? Oh, CJ, there's plenty I'd like to say, but please do the honours.
You know, it's interesting that all of a sudden those on the left, even in Australia, all of a sudden care about who comes across their border, right? You know, if only liberals here in this country cared just as much about who actually slipped across our border, we would probably be a safer nation. You know, so it's interesting to see that, you know, from our friends, you know, across the world. But I guarantee you, I'm sure the Prime Minister over there will welcome President Trump anytime he wishes to make a trip over.
Oh, I think he would be absolutely begging the president to make a trip. He's been trying to get a one-on-one meeting to do some trade negotiations and has not been successful thus far. But that is the level of coverage on US politics that you get in Australia, you get throughout much of the Western world. Does that trouble Americans at all? Because it's pathetic, it is pathetic, but do Americans care that their president is so misunderstood and misrepresented by the mainstream media?
No, because we understand him. We understand this is a leader who leads from the front and not from behind. This is someone who does as he says and means what he says when he says it. And this is a man who actually intends to deliver on the promises that he made to the American people. He's not some career politician who runs on one thing and does another. And so while the cosmopolitan liberals in New York City and LA and DC pretend to not understand what he's doing, the American people fundamentally and emphatically understand what he's doing. And they know that all that he is doing will make America great again, and we are 10 toes behind him in doing that.
Now, CJ, you posted an image of Monday's meeting of world leaders gathered at the Oval Office to discuss an end to the Russian-Ukrainian war. Tell me what you see in this image, why you see it as so significant.
You know, I see an America that's finally leading from the front again. You know, under Joe Biden, we had a man in the Oval Office who didn't even know that he was president of the United States. And looking at that picture, frankly, it's a breath of fresh air. The world respects us again. The world fears us again. And that's exactly what we need to do if we're going to bring peace to the world again. You know, as Vladimir Putin even acknowledged in his press conference just a few days ago, this war in Ukraine would have never happened if Donald Trump had been in the White House. And now we are inching closer and closer to peace every single day because of his bold and decisive leadership.
And we had the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni saying something has changed after now more than 2 years of this devastating war. There is finally a shift and peace seems possible. How hopeful are you that there is going to be a peace deal with Russia and Ukraine? That's the one big conflict, other than what's happening in the Middle East, that Trump hasn't been able to do much about until this point.
You know, I'm immensely hopeful because I know the American people didn't just elect the commander-in-chief in Donald Trump, but they elected a deal-maker-in-chief. This is a man who literally wrote the book, The Art of the Deal, and he is showing us in real time what that actually looks like. If anyone can bring peace to this conflict, it's going to be President Trump. And you ask me, do I feel hopeful? I feel a lot more hopeful today than I ever did under Joe Biden when he was in the White House.
Now, I want to ask you about a saga that's involving the New Yorker, a magazine you're very well aware of, after they really did a hit piece on you, suggesting you were having some white supremacist MAGA party when they cropped out all the people of colour from the picture. But they've got another saga at the moment with a writer called Doreen St. Felix, who called Sydney Sweeney an Aryan princess. Well, this supposedly anti-racist writer has in fact posted some virulently racist statements. She has said things like, "Whiteness fills me with a lot of hate," and "the Holocaust is the worst thing to happen to black people." How is the New Yorker handling this controversy?
You know, it's absolutely disgusting, but oftentimes, you know, it's actually part of the course. We see that a lot of these people who are quick to point out that you're racist and they're racist are often the true racists themselves, as is shown by this entire saga. Will the New Yorker actually punish her in any real way? Remains to be seen. They didn't actually punish the writer who wrote the defamatory piece about me, so I actually don't hold out much hope for that. But what I will say is that stories like this are exactly why so many people, not only here in America, but across the world, are losing faith rapidly in the corporate media, and there doesn't seem to be any chance that they'll be regaining it anytime soon.
Well, it's just so blatantly hypocritical, isn't it, to hold yourself up as some sort of anti-racist warrior when you are spewing this racist diatribe on a fairly consistent fashion. There were plenty of other statements I could have quoted there. And with the New Yorker, I know you've got a legal action proceeding against them. Any update on that?
You know, we're fully, you know, completely charging ahead on this, and as we see, it's needed. It continues to be needed because Brock Collier, the reporter who wrote the piece about me, is not alone. We also see that his colleagues share a lot of the sentiments. And, you know, what's interesting to me is that people wonder, why do these people continue to misunderstand Trump's America? Why do they continue to misunderstand, you know, the other half of this country? They don't misunderstand half of this country. They hate half of this country. And the sooner you actually realize that, it actually all makes sense about why they speak the way that they do about all of us.
Now to a story in today's New York Post. They report Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has pulled the security clearance of 37 current and former officials for the part they played in the Russian collusion hoax. CJ, this is just another step, another development in holding those who abuse public trust and deliberately push misinformation accountable.
Exactly is that. And God bless Tulsi Gabbard for being in the position that she is and bringing accountability to a place that is desperately needed. I think a lot of people have lost faith in our intelligence community, which is actually very counterintuitive. If there's anyone we should be able to trust, it should be our intelligence community. And so these people who abuse their positions, abuse their powers, and actively subverted, the rule of law and weaponized government against, again, half of America should be held to account. And Tulsi Gabbard is doing just that with this latest move.
Before you go, do you expect to see the likes of the former CIA Director John Brennan or FBI Director James Comey actually face criminal charges? There's reports they're under investigation. We've got James Comey unravelling. He's posting these bizarre videos about Taylor Swift that are rather creepy. Do you see some real accountability happening at some point?
God willing. And I'll tell you this, if Pam Bondi is able to secure that, JD Vance might have some competition in 2028.
Well, that could be a good ticket, JD Vance and Pam Bondi. That would be a formidable ticket right there. CJ Pearson, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you so much.
Let's have a look at this interaction in the White House briefing room. And this question from a New York Times reporter really is typical of the media pack's determination to denigrate every step in this peace process, in President Trump's efforts to broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. And Caroline Levitt wasn't having it.
The point is to get everybody on the same page. Why wouldn't Trump just take the call from Putin while the other leaders were in the room? So it would be disrespectful to do that. But why is it disrespectful?
With all due respect, only a reporter from the New York Times would ask a question like that, Sean. The president met with all of these European leaders at the White House 48 hours after sitting down with President Putin on American soil. In fact, there was so much progress in the readout that was given to these European leaders immediately following his meeting with President Putin that every single one of them got on a plane 48 hours later and flew to the United States of America. So these leaders, who this war is in their backyard, are very grateful that the president took that call and that he was there to provide them with a readout of Russia's thinking on this, something that was not done by the previous administration at all.
Joining me now is Sky News contributor Kosha Gator. Kosha, the progress we have seen in the past week has been significant. That is undeniable.
Absolutely it is, and I think that was such a high school level question that New York Times reporter needs to go home, dust off his dictionary and look up the word mediation. That's mediation 101. You don't tip the hand of one party that's adversarial to the other party and invite them in and express favoritism for one side. It's pretty obvious, but I just think they're so irked with Trump's relationship, if you will, with Putin, whether it's friendly, not friendly, practical, pragmatic, the fact that he's willing to meet, willing to talk, that really irks them, especially after 10 years of, as Trump calls it, Russia, Russia, Russia. That whole story that's further unraveling kind of undergirds this one. But
Which again
absolutely
really undermined the media's credibility, particularly papers like the New York Times, who just pushed that hoax uncritically. They did not question it for a second.
Never issued a retraction, haven't done it, and Trump in the background is suing the Pulitzer Committee. And there's all sorts of things, serious and funny, that are happening.